Wow, the twists today are unexpected. Hold on tight, don't let the surprises scare you. Maybe he hopes to see his son grow up, so he won't become a grumpy old tiger. Subtitles. Rosie raised her head and saw gold coins falling from the sky, which might be a unique and special tribute from the heavens to great mothers. Today, Rosie is preparing to visit her father, whom she hasn't seen for a long time, and upon learning this, she senses and also decides to join her. So Rosie and her brother set off on the way home, hoping to mend things with her dad in their final moments together. He even bought their dad's favourite beer, but she senses and jokingly called him a little good boy, mentioning how their dad used to care for him back in the day, getting more worked up with each word. Rosie was shocked because he had no idea about this. Seriously? Don't joke around. Soon, they pulled over at a roadside rest area. She sensed and expertly dove into a dumpster, fishing for gourmet food, and surprisingly, Rosie was having a blast too, discovering plenty of fresh goodies. Some items were just slightly damaged, but tossed out, leading to an absurd food picnic. They sat in the car roof enjoying some gourmet trash while drinking beer. Rosie seemed to discover new joys, while she sensed and rambled on about Dad's dark past. During Mum's severe illness, Dad built friendships thoroughly baffling. Less than 3 months after Mum passed, Dad married that lady, completely ignoring his children. She since then didn't have an ounce of love for this dad. Back home, Rosie realized Dad was the same old dude, half-heartedly responding to her concern. When Rosie mentioned separating from her husband, Dad blamed her, forgetting even her age. Heartbroken, Rosie said it might be their last chat ever. Yet Dad was oblivious to Rosie's distress, boasting he would live forever, which finally pushed Rosie over the edge. Let me tell you, I really love you, but don't take some things too seriously, okay? Bastard. Then, hugging her mother's ashes, she left the suffocating home. At night, the siblings sat on the beach. She sensed and opened the time capsule and gazed at the treasures buried 20 years ago, getting lost in nostalgia. On the good old days, Rosie scattered her mother's ashes into the sea, and death's shadow loomed once again. Rosie told her brother of her cancer, realizing her past naivety. Yep, I have cancer, I'm basically dead. Seen it all, and honestly, not such a good choice. You will die, and it will hurt because my initial solutions weren't the best. I'm just gradually starting to understand. You're the sole happiness throughout my entire life. Stop joking around. Rosie stared at her broke-down brother, thinking she was the saddest, but he was even more heartbroken, leaving her bewildered. Suddenly, Rosie laughed and casually said, "Just kidding." She sensed and believed her, oblivious to Ross's sorrowful gaze. She just stood there quietly, feeling so alone, buying a cake to share with her neighbor on her birthday. She had cancer, but couldn't muster the courage to tell her family. Only the elderly neighbor knew. What would you do? Just munch on a 40-pound cake, of course. Who knows, this could be my last birthday bash. When Rosie got home from work, she was shocked by her husband Paul, who had secretly prepared a surprise party that she wasn't in the mood to join in, while Paul happily gushed about how adorable Rosie was to everyone. He passionately declared, "Sometimes, the exterior isn't what it seems, see it's weak yet profound. This traveler is lucky to love and continues loving throughout life." Though Rosie felt touched whenever forever was mentioned, she only thought about her impending demise. At that moment she saw Lisa. The friends hugged and cried. They reunited, reminiscing over drinks. Seeing old friends after so many years was the highlight of Ross's day. After blowing out the birthday candles, Rosie thanked her family for the surprise party that Paul had arranged. But then she mentioned how the past 20 years had been less than joyful, and that the fun times were long gone. Those words left Paul stunned, his face instantly uncomfortable. Once the guests left, he stared at her hard. He truly couldn't understand why Rosie would say such a thing, leaving Rosie at a loss for words as she gazed at her husband, who was like a big boy. The next morning, Rosie was driving, wanting to bring her son back home to maximize their precious last moments. Just then, her husband drove by on his way to work, casually mentioning his promotion. Rosie was genuinely happy for him, but the shadows from yesterday's party sparked a new conflict. At night, Paul attended a work dinner and, feeling low, drowned his sorrows in alcohol. Meanwhile, Adam got invited to a party too, but couldn't reach Rossi after wanting to come home. Adam had no choice but to call Dad to pick him up, but Paul, tipsy, couldn't drive and could only direct Adam on what to do. On the other side, Rossi finally saw her son's missed call. She quickly called back, only to find out it was her husband on the line, revealing they'd had an accident in the road. Adam was taken to the hospital for treatment, and Rossi scolded her husband for drinking, while Paul questioned why she didn't answer her phone. Rossi felt immense guilt. Just then, a doctor hurried in, interrogating, "Sir, I must say, you not leaving the room is quite a problem." The doctor assumed Paul understood his wife's condition, but he was clueless, turning to find Rossi just left the room. "You say he knows?" "I want to live."